Hey everybody, this is 365 Days of Movies. This is where I rate my top 365 movies. One movie a day for a year. So, with that, let's get into this movie. Number 280, Justice League, rating 7.21, released in 2021, directed by Zack Snyder, starring Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Jeremy Irons, Diane Lane, Connie Nielsen, Amber Heard, J.K. Simmons, and Willem Dafoe. Fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act, Bruce Wayne enlists newfound ally Diana Prince to face an even greater threat. Together, Batman and Wonder Woman quickly recruit a team to stand against this newly awakened enemy. Despite the formation of an unprecedented league of heroes in Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash, it may be too late to save the planet from an assault of catastrophic proportions. Now, I rate both Justice Leagues, both seemingly directed by Zack Snyder, but also, obviously, the one that was first released being also directed without title by Joss Whedon, because there were minimal changes, really. And I rate them pretty close together, although the Justice League by Zack Snyder slightly higher than the Justice League by Joss Whedon. When the release of the Snyder Cut started happening, I didn't expect the Snyder Cut to be that much better than the Justice League movie, but I was interested, and so I saw it, and it's only slightly better. It does improve some things. It does give more background on Ray Fisher's character Cyborg, but was that needed? Not really. No. Just a minimal amount of background on the characters was needed in a team-up movie. So therefore, I didn't necessarily need all the extra stuff that Zack Snyder threw in. Although I love Zack Snyder as a director and the visual style that he has, and his storytelling style within that visual style is amazing. And the writing, while it's not necessarily his writing, the Chris Terrio script is pretty great. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the changes that Joss Whedon made, which is why I rate it slightly lower. But I don't necessarily think that Justice League is Zack Snyder's best movie, even given this extra $80 million that he was given by Warner Brothers during 2020 to take his cut and add in all the special effects and any reshoots that he needed to do, which were roughly minimal because he had shot quite a bit. Now, of course, there was a lot of drama around this Snyder Cut, and there were a lot of people who were convinced that the Snyder Cut existed. And I think a lot of it was based on misunderstanding, or I guess differing definitions that people had for a cut. Now, of course, there was a cut that Zack Snyder had before he left his job directing Justice League. There was a cut that he showed internally, but it's not what people consider a cut that everyone would see, right? And when people are referring to a director's cut, they're talking about a cut that also went through the post-production process of adding in practical special effects, CGI, and then also the filtering, the lighting, the editing, the reshoots, that kind of thing. There's a whole lot of things that go on, and obviously there are, because $80 million was added to what was already made for Justice League, which means there was $80 million of things that were not in the cut that Zack Snyder showed internally, which means there was no Snyder cut that was commercially releasable. There was a internal cut that no studio would release unless there was some sort of special circumstances. Much like they wouldn't add $80 million to a second version of a movie unless there were special circumstances, which in this case was the release of HBO Max and a global pandemic that made it conducive to having a premiere release on that streaming service to drive subscriptions. Now, how much it did that, I don't really know. But the point is that there was no commercial Snyder cut, and when people are talking about a director's cut, they're talking about a commercial release. However, the proponents, or I would say most of the proponents of the Snyder cut, who were convinced that there was a cut, were also convinced that there was a commercially viable cut. Now, some of them were not convinced that there was a commercially viable cut before 2020. They understood that the cut that they wanted released was just whatever Zack Snyder had done up until that point, even without an extra $80 million thrown in to do post-production on the movie. But while they may have enjoyed that, that wouldn't have been anything that the regular movie-going public would care about. Even if it was released on HBO Max, it would be pretty much forgotten except by a very small number of people. So to sum up, the Snyder Cut is better than the Whedon Cut, and the Snyder Cut didn't exist before 2020, except as an internal thing, but not a commercially releasable cut. Check out either one. One is shorter than the other. One has a lot more Zack Snyder in it. So, there's that. Hey everybody. This has been 365 Days of Movies. We're going to keep plowing ahead. So let me know what you think of this movie. And if you want to discuss it further, comment below. If I get a lot of interest, I may very well make a full review of the movie. Maybe even a video essay. So let me know what you think. And let's get to the next one.